Okay, you guys have any questions? All done? Huh? You can talk, it's okay. This is...
Problem number 1.
Alright, let's see if I know what I'm doing. Problem number 1. Is this session 2? I mean, what are we looking at?
Session 3.
Session 3. Chapter 10?
Oh no, session 2, chapter 2.
I got it.
Right there.
Chapter 3, I'm sorry.
Say that again?
It's session 2. You're looking at chapter 3.
Okay,
Problem
problem 1?
one.
Okay. Alright, let's see. So the file, P of blah blah blah, is that this one that's open?
Yes.
Okay, indicates the gender and nationality of the MBA incoming class in 2 successive years at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. A, for each year, separately, recode nationalities so that all nationalities with a count of 1 or 2 are listed as others. Okay, let me just see what B says. For each year, create a crosstabs of gender versus the recorded nationality and an associated column chart. Does there seem to be any relationship between gender and the recorded nationality? Is the pattern about the same in the 2 years? Okay, so we'll start with A. For each year, separately recode nationality so that all nationalities with a count of 1 or 2 are listed as other. Okay, so this, we have 2 years data source, and we're going to do it for each one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new tab, a new worksheet, to put the new data.
Right.
So this, what I typically do is like when you have your source data like this, I generally don't manipulate that. I usually leave it clean, and then if I have to do things like what they're asking for, I do it like separate.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So I'm going to add a new sheet, and this wants us to basically, I guess, add them together if they add the different nationalities. So let's see what we're working with. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to copy this whole list of nationalities. And I'll just, if I'm doing something you already know, just you can tell me and then I won't repeat it, but I'm going to tell exactly what I'm doing. To get the whole list, I'm holding down Shift. I press End once, and then I put the arrow down, and I get the entire list highlighted, and then I do Control C to copy it. I go to my new sheet, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay? So now I have a copy of all the nationalities over here, but I only want to identify each nationality once from this place here. So I'm going to get rid of duplicates. I only want to see USA once. I only want to see India once. That sort of thing. So let me try to find it. I think is it under Data? Yeah, under Data, and depending on your version of Office and Excel, you might not have that ribbon menu up there. It might look a little different. Do you have this version?
Yes.
Is this 2007?
No, this is like 2013.
Ooh,
Does yours
okay.
look the same?
Similar, not exactly the same, but...
Okay. Does remove duplicates, is it showing up under Data?
Oh yes, right here.
Remove duplicates.
Did we just click on that?
Yeah, as long as you got this still highlighted.
Yes.
Yeah, then if you click on remove duplicates, and then this should already automatically have it selected because you already have it highlighted. Click on OK. It gets rid of all the duplicates, and now what you're left with is just unique values. Okay. So since the column is all scrunched together, it's not as big as the actual words, what you can do is you can go up to the top of the columns up here, and in between, you see how your mouse kind of turns from an arrow pointing down to a, I don't know, a line with two arrows pointing sideways? If you, once you get it like that, if you double click it, it'll automatically expand out your column to fit your biggest item. Okay? Okay, so from here, since, let's imagine that we have a data source that's humongous, okay? Because we know we can probably go in there and just kind of eyeball it and see, okay, these countries only have one or two, so I'm not going to worry about those, I'll count them separately. But imagine that if you had this database of, I don't know, 50,000 records, you're not going to go and try to eyeball that, right? You're just going to, you got to have a formula of some sort.
Wait, that's what we tried.
Yeah.
We tried to eyeball.
Okay, yeah, and for this size it may work because I think there's like almost 300 items or something. But, so what we'll do is we're going to have it count, and this is that COUNTIF function. Built into Excel is a function called COUNTIF. So to do it, you start it off with an equal sign.
I knew that.
And you type in count, and if you stop there, you'll see that there are several types of counting functions that Excel has. And if you highlight them or if you select them, you can see the description of what each one does. So depending on what you want to do. So we want to do COUNTIF. So I'm going to double click COUNTIF. And what it does, and all functions work like this in Excel, is it will give you, it'll give you the parameters that it is looking for. In this case, it shows that it's looking for range, and it's even bolded so you know that that's the next one it's wanting to get from you. So it knows that you want to do a count, but it wants to know from where, the range. So where do you want to count from? I don't want to count from here. I want to count back at the data, our data source. So while I'm still entering in my information for that function, I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to click on the Data tab, the Data 2008 tab. And I'm going to scroll up to the top. Actually, what I'm going to do is a quicker way. I'm going to click in here. I'm going to press End and then arrow up. And it gets me to the very top. And since I don't want nationality to be counted, I'm going to start here at the one just below it, which is kind of being blocked right now by our formula. But I want to start from that top, and I want to go all the way to the bottom. So to highlight that whole range, I need to hold down Shift, because if you don't hold down Shift, it doesn't anchor it. Then you press End because I want to go to the end, and I'm still holding down Shift, and then arrow down, and it highlights the entire row. Okay. Now, after I did this, you can see up in here, it filled this range in for you. Okay? It still wants range, but we have the range. This is our data range. So now we have to do a comma. And now criteria is bolded. So now it wants to know what criteria we want to use. And for each row, you can't see it because we're on the data tab, but let's click back to where our function, our formula is at. Our criteria is we want it to match this, right?
Yes.
So I'm just going to select this cell. Okay? And it fills it in. It's looking at sheet 1, which is the one where we're at, and it's looking at cell A1, so it's going to look right here. That's the end of that, so I'm going to do an end parenthesis, and I'm going to hit enter. And I have a problem.
Oh my gosh.
What typo did I put in there? Well, the good thing about Excel is it'll correct it for you. Do I want to accept the correction? Which I don't know. I don't see any difference. Oh,
I
you
think
know
you have an
what?
exclamation.
No,
Double click.
I had two. I had two
Wow.
closing, and it knows that that was wrong.
Wow.
So the simple ones, and usually every time if I type a formula and Excel says, do you accept my change? I always say yes, and then figure out if they're right or not. So yes, and it corrected it.
Wow.
So now we know that on that other data tab, there are 128 students that have USA as their nationality. Now, what we want to do is instead of retyping that each time, I just want to copy and paste that all the way down. Okay? Now here's something that you need to be careful about. When you copy and paste into a different cell, and you have a formula inside there, it's going to adjust your formula based on where you move it. So if I take this and I go down 2 and over 1 and paste it here, it's going to take my range and move it 2 down and over 1. So it won't be looking at C2 through C228. It's going to be looking at D4 through, you know, and I'll show you here just real quick. So if I copy and paste it, now I just went 1 down, right? Here's our original formula, and here's the one that I just copied and pasted. That's it.
If I can talk, right?
Yeah,
So let me see, so I am going to do everything you just did right now.
yeah. So can you see the formula? Just
Right, but before you know how bad I am at this, I'm gonna go to nationality,
yeah.
and then I'm
Tell
going
you
to,
what. How about if I do this part over again?
let's do it, please, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's
No.
fine. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this out. Okay, so we're gonna start over.
Yeah, I'm gonna delete it too. because
Okay.
More practice is
Okay.
better.
Got it.
All right. So you're good with what we did here, or you still have to do
We have to do it, we have to do it?
the whole thing? All right. So let me delete out all this stuff, and we'll start from scratch. Okay.
Okay.
So have you created a new worksheet?
No, I'm gonna create one. Okay, I have a sheet.
How did
one
you
already.
delete everything in like one step?
Yeah, well, I can't even do that.
Okay. Let me go back. I'll undo.
Okay.
Okay. So right now everything is highlighted.
Yes.
You see the whole thing? So if I just have one thing highlighted, I can only delete one thing.
Uh-huh.
If you want to highlight a whole range, you got to hold down Shift. And if you just so I can give you a quick Excel sample here,
Yeah.
hold down Shift and just use your arrow key up and down. And you'll see that it just highlights. And when you hold down Shift, it anchors it. So wherever the cell starts at, wherever your cursor is at, it anchors right there. And then as you move around, it just extends out your range.
Uh-huh.
Now, I let go of Shift and it doesn't anchor it.
Do it anymore.
Now, you can also use Control.
Okay.
Now, if I do Control and then I hit my mouse, I select that one, I can go to a different location and I'll press my mouse again and it's going to select that area, and then I can do a different area. So now you can see now it's selecting different cells. They don't all have to be contiguous. They don't have to be together.
Okay.
So if I highlight those 3 and I hit delete, it gets rid of those 3 only. And if I undo, which I think is also Control Z, I think is undo. Let's see, if I go up here and I hold down Shift because I want to anchor it, but I want to go to the bottom of this list. Now it knows that it's gonna, if I say I'm holding down Shift and I press End, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but in the bottom left corner it says End Mode. So it knows that you want to go to the end of something.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And now when I say arrow, when I push arrow down, it's going to go all the way down as long as there's text in the cell. It's going to go to the end of that text.
Okay.
Now if at the end of Canada there's a blank cell and then the list starts again, it's going to stop right at Canada. It's not going to go skip over that blank and keep going.
Oh, got it.
So I press down arrow while I'm holding Shift and the whole thing's highlighted. And that's how I do delete the whole cell. The whole range is deleted. Let's see, Control Z. Yeah, Control Z is undo if you wanted a quick little.
When Control
Oh,
V
good
is
to know.
delete. What is it?
Control Z is undo. Control V is paste. Control C is copy.
So Control arrow and delete, that's what we did, right?
Shift anchors it, as long as you're starting in the beginning of your range. Now, if you ever go up here, let's see, I don't know how it's going to look on mine. Maybe I'm going to be lying to you in a second. Your version might show it. You go into these different areas. Let's say you want to copy. Where is copy? This guy right here. You hover over it and you see it says copy is Control C. It shows you what the shortcuts are. So if you go over cut, then it's Control X. You go over this. This is like a little formatting. There is no hotkey, is what it is. You know, so there's no shortcut for that.
Okay.
Paste, Control V. So if you ever wonder if there's a
gosh,
shortcut,
yeah, you just click on it.
yeah, it's right there. You can either click on it or you just do the Control, the hotkeys, and you're there.
Okay.
Okay, so we're good here. This is where we started.
Yes.
We have a new worksheet.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I want to start with is I want to start with a copy of all these people. So I want to go to the top of my list. You can either scroll up, or what I did was I just kind of clicked on an area, and then I did end, and I went up, and it took me to the top. So I want to start this range at the top of this. Well, actually, I want to copy all these nationalities, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what do I do first here? If I want the whole range, what do I need to do?
Control Shift End.
No, control.
Down.
No, not control.
Arrow.
Control.
Oh, just Shift
Just,
And down.
okay, shift anchors it. So now it's going to stay there.
and then End.
End. And now what? You got to go in
The
where?
down arrow.
And down arrow. So the whole thing's highlighted.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. These out of line. Yeah.
Does everybody have that?
No, no.
Okay.
There's something wrong.
This is the only way I
You have to hold shift down.
Okay, so now. Okay, got it.
Okay, now control C to copy it. And control C, it should have the little wavy things around it, let you know
Now we go to Shift
it's
1.
copied. We go to our new sheet.
And Control V.
You go to the top of your little corner there where you want it to start. Control V will paste it. And it should stay highlighted. So the whole range is still highlighted, and that's what we want. Okay, so now we want to get rid of the copies. We don't want the duplicates in there. We just want a unique value for each country. So under your data tab, your data option at the top, you'll see data. I know you guys are there. So
I lost everything.
you lost what, the data, or you lost Excel?
Yeah, I'm going to go back. Hold on, Control V now. Now I go to data, yeah.
Okay, so the range that you just copied is all highlighted?
Yes.
Okay, so under data you should see remove duplicates as an option. When you find it, select it, as long as your data is all highlighted. Do you see it?
Is it under filter or where?
It should be all by itself.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And now I hit okay.
Select, remove it, and then whatever it says it should be good, you say okay. And then it says how many duplicates it found, and how many are removed, and how many are unique.
Yep.
Okay to that. And now you have your unique list of nationalities. Okay, everybody has this?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the top up here. We're going to start next to USA. We're going to go to the cell just to the right of it. And we want to count all the students on the other worksheet that have the nationalities USA. So to start, we're going to put in a function called COUNTIF on here, but you have to start it with an equal sign. Okay? And like I was describing before, you start typing in the word, and it's going to tell you if there's other options you can do. But we're going to go with COUNTIF because there's only one thing we want to check, which is the nationality. We do our open parenthesis, and now it's asking for range. So it wants to know, what data do you want me to look at? What range of data do you want me to look at? Okay? Are you following?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't hit enter, you don't do anything, you just leave your formula still there. You go down to your data tab, data 2008. Okay. We need to go to the top of this list, so you can either scroll up, or like what I do is I'll click on one cell, I'll push end, So I'm in end mode, I'll push arrow up, so now I'm at the top, okay? But I don't want to count nationality, nationality is just a header. So I go down one, so I start in the cell just underneath the headers. Okay? I can
Just underneath the header, so how did you do that? How did you copy?
look, are you on the data tab?
Yes,
Okay, so click on anywhere in that column,
right,
okay? Push your end key,
right,
just push it once,
and then go up.
arrow up, and it should take you to the very top.
Right, and we don't want that.
We don't want to start at nationality, we want to start at the first one underneath it. Are you there?
Yes, I see. You can't
Okay.
just hit on count it or anything, you gotta go to the side a little bit, okay.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, the way it happened to fall is that it's right behind where it's trying to show you what it's
Right.
doing.
Okay.
But it is selected, okay? So you can see the little thing swirling around behind it. Okay, that's where we want to start. We want to do the whole range. So how do I start there and go to the whole, all the way to the bottom? What do I do to get the whole range selected?
Shift and
And end.
Shift, hold down shift, and then what?
end,
End,
arrow,
arrow where?
down.
Arrow down.
And we're holding shift the whole time.
You're holding shift the whole time. So once you do arrow down, you can let go of shift, and the whole thing should be highlighted.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So that's our data range. So it fills it in for us. It starts at C2, which if you're not familiar with how this works, all the columns in this case are all set up with letters, and all the rows are numbered. So C2 is C2, which is way up on top, right? To C228, all the way down here. And why are you not wiggling? So we're at this end of the range, and we push comma. And if you're not sure what to do, you can always look right here, and that's what this little pop-up thing is telling you. It's like it wants the range and then a comma to separate it, and now criteria is bolded. So now it wants to know what criteria. It's like, you told me you want to look at this range of data, but now you need to tell me what is it you want me to find. What do you want me to count? Well, I want you to count everything that equals, which is on our unique tab, the one we just created. I want it to, everything that equals this cell right here. So you select that cell.
We'll go back to that.
Yeah, you go back to your new sheet,
And we select that sheet.
okay? And then you select, this is what we want,
Okay.
okay? Now we need to close it. So you do the end parenthesis. The little, it's above the zero. Shift 0.
Okay.
Okay? So now that we have the full thing, you just hit enter, and it populates a number. It should have 128 next to it.
Okay, I got this now.
Okay?
Release this.
So it automatically moves you down one because it thinks you want to keep going. But we want to go back up to our formula. So make sure it's highlighted. Click on it, arrow up, whatever you got to do. You're back on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you see our formula right here. Now, like what I showed you before, is if you copy and paste this, and you just do this to like the next one down, you'll see that this range is changed on you. This is also changed, which is good, because now I want it to look at India. I don't want it to look at USA, I want it to look down here. So because this one changed, that's okay. But this data range, I don't want to look at C3 to C229, because that's going to start at the second student and go past the range.
That's when you say you anchor it. So
Yes, now we have to anchor our range. So I'm going to delete this one because it's no good. I'm going to go back up to here. So what I want to do in Excel is I want to tell it, don't move. Stay at C2, stay at C228. That's my range. I don't care where I copy it, that range never moves.
Okay.
So the way to anchor it is I have to go and tell it, don't move the column and don't move the row. So you have to anchor both the column and the row. So you go in front of the column, which in this first one is C, right? So you got to click right in front of it.
Okay.
And you put a dollar sign. Okay? That C will never change for right now. If we just clicked enter and then left it like that and copied and pasted all over the place, that C will never change. Everything else will change, but not that C. So now I don't want that 2 to change. So what do I need to do to the 2?
Another dollar sign.
Put a dollar sign. So we're going to go in front of that number 2, and we're going to put a dollar sign. Now, no matter where I copy and paste it, that C2 will never change. Okay, so now what do we have to do to the end of our range?
A dollar sign.
A dollar sign, so it won't move.
In front of the C.
In front of the C, and what else do we need to
In
do?
front of the 228.
Okay, so I put another dollar sign in front of 228. Now, should I anchor this?
No,
No.
And why is that?
because now we want to look at a 2, a 3.
We do want it to move.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to hit enter, and we can go back and look at it, and now you see your little dollar signs in there, and your data range is locked down. So now if I copy and paste it one down, my data range stays,
Oh, yeah.
but this one now moves. So you can see the numbers have changed. Now it's only counting India.
Okay.
So it's going, okay, I see your data range, which is over here. I'm just looking at all this stuff here, and I will count how many times it matches this cell, which is sheet A1, A2. So now, we don't want to copy one at a time, we want to copy the whole thing, right?
Mhm.
So they're both good formulas, you can copy either one, but let's copy this second one here. So I'm going to do Control C, and you can see now it's highlighting that one. Right? I want to copy it from here, but I want to copy this whole range. One big copy. So I'm going to move my arrow down. So now I'm starting next to Thailand.
Okay.
Okay. How do I highlight this whole range? What do I need to do?
Can you bring that little square all the way down?
You can go on
You
that,
can.
and you can go shift and arrow.
You can do that.
No,
I
no,
wouldn't- I
no,
wouldn't do
shift and then go down one by
Let me-
one.
You're both right in a way.
Okay.
You can do it your way too. It's a little hard to do with the laptop.
Okay,
Because to try to get that and then drag it.
yeah.
But let me show you what you suggest doing. Okay, so you said
can't do that
no.
because it'll go all the way down to the end.
It'll go all the way to the bottom. And I'll show you. So we do shift, end, arrow down.
Oh, wow.
It goes in row 1,048,000.
No, that's not it.
So let's not do that. So now I'll go up, and I want to start here next to Thailand.
Mhm.
So let's hold down shift, and just use your arrow key. Don't do end, just take it to where you want. You can let go of shift when you don't want to do anymore. Now just to give you an example of what shift will do, if I hold down shift again and I go right,
Oh, it'll just
yeah,
take it all.
it'll just highlight whatever it is that because you've anchored it already, it'll go wherever you want. So I have all this highlighted. Do you have that, Suzanne?
Yes.
Okay, so if I do Control V to paste it, it fills it all in. So let me click somewhere else, just to get rid of that little dialogue thing, and I'll get rid of and so I'm just clicking out of it. I'm going to press escape so it stops trying to copy, and you can see now. So now instead of trying to eyeball what everybody
Oh my gosh.
has,
We did this only one.
now you can kind of quickly see. There are a number of ways to do it. Like imagine if we had 1,000 different nationalities, and I have no idea how many in the world, but let's say you had 1,000, you're still not going to want to eyeball that. And there are ways to mathematically or using formulas that could do it for you, but it gets a lot more complex than you guys need to go. So this is good for what you guys need to do, okay? So I would just sit there and look at this going, okay, I can see, what countries do I need to call out, and which countries do I need to group together in the other column. So I would say, well, Thailand we don't need to do. They only have 2, right? So 2 or less, was it?
Yes, 2.
One or 2. Yeah, count of 1 or 2.
Right.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's get rid of any of the countries on this list, because this is our list. This isn't the main data. This is our list. Let's delete out the countries and their count if it's 2 or less. So I'm gonna hold down, I got Thailand highlighted, right? Hold down shift and go to the right, so now I got both of it. And let's just delete it out. Now I see Brazil, and it looks like we have several.
How did you delete it out?
Press delete. Once you're highlighted, you press delete.
But the 2's still on there.
And I'll show you, this is what I did. So you clicked on the country, hold down shift, go to the right, arrow right.
Okay.
So now you have that highlighted. But now if you look at this, before I hit delete on this one, I have Brazil and its number highlighted, right? But I can see that the 3 more rows below it are low too, and I want to delete those. So I'm going to hold down shift, so I keep it anchored, and let's just go down. Well, it should, okay, there, it's catching up. I don't want to get rid of Taiwan because it has 5. You guys have that?
Yes.
So is that?
Yeah, but why are we getting rid of the 2's and the 1's? Those are the ones we have to keep.
No. I'm getting rid of the ones that are going to be all grouped into other. So I don't need them spelled out like this. Okay, so once I have them highlighted, I'm pressing delete and getting rid of them. Tell me when you guys are caught up with that.
I did.
Okay, so go ahead and do that with the rest of the countries that are 2 or less. We could have done this a little bit differently, but I wanted to show it this way just to kind of demonstrate what we're doing. Okay? We're all caught up, or do you need some help?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
If you want me to help, I can help you before I move on.
I'm fine. I just don't know what happened to the laptop. It's all small now.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Eric.
No, it's okay,
I
trust me.
rolled you up.
You're not at all.
And you got this zoom over here. So you got about 55%.
Thank you. I think
Where's Taiwan? I was going to say, something's missing. Okay. Okay, Control Z will back you out. Okay, it's going to back out our little, that's okay, let's get, okay, yeah, so just, don't delete Taiwan. Be nice to Taiwan. Well, okay.
Okay, I got it.
And let me know when you have all the rest. So you guys should have 6 countries still shown?
Yes.
Okay. You could have done it like this, the what I'm going to show you at the beginning, but I just wanted to demonstrate why we have these here, and it's nice and clear. You could have gone to the row, clicked it, the whole row would have been highlighted, then you can right-click on it and click delete. And it'll get rid of that whole row and move everything up. So if you see what I'm going to do here, I want to clean this all up. So I'm going to highlight that next row. I'm going to hold down shift because I want to anchor it. I'm going to do arrow down. So now it's highlighting all the rows. It's not just a couple of cells, it's doing the whole entire row. So all my blank rows, I'm
So you're
getting
going to go on 6, and then what did you say?
whatever is blank. You want to do, yeah, you click on the row
Okay.
and do shift and arrow down to all the blanks are highlighted. Then you right click and delete. And it'll shift everything up.
Okay.
So we want to get rid of all the blanks. And you should have what I have up on the screen.
Okay, I'm having trouble deleting. So I click on, let's say number 3.
Okay?
On that, right?
Mhm. Now right click.
Oh, right click. That's
No, you're good right there, yeah. And then delete.
delete. That's what I was doing. Okay, thank you.
Are you okay over there? Let me know when you're caught up.
We need 7 now, we're still.
Okay.
I know,
I'm
but,
caught up now.
but I'm hoping that if I spend a little extra time here, then the Excel will be much easier, like when you go and you,
Shortcuts, 'cause
yeah, and just,
what you just did, it took us almost an hour to try to figure out.
and if you knew this right off the bat, you'd be done in a minute.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now what we want to do is, now we got rid of all those little countries, right? But we need to put it into a group called Other. So I'm just going to name this Other, just like it asked me to. Okay? Now, there are a lot of ways we can go and collect the data for this. But I'm going to give you the simple way. Okay? The simple way would be to count all the students and then subtract what we've already counted above it. Right? Because that should be what's left over. I could go in there and count every country that has 2 or less, and I could do that.
That's what we did.
But that's kind of complicated. I mean, when it comes to formulas, it's just more complicated.
Yeah.
So let's do this. So we want to take the whole count of all the students, right? So let's do our equal sign, because we're going to put in a function again, and we're going to type in count. We're going to stop there. Now we have different options here, because we don't need to do count if, because we just wanted to count all the students. So as long as we select only the students, the count's fine. So this first count, it says it counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Now we're not really looking for numbers. So let's try count A. Counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. I think that sounds good to me. So let's double click, let's select that. And now it's asking for the values. So let's go and find our range. Again, I just clicked on anywhere, and I just did
Shift
end.
up.
No, I don't want to select the range yet, I just want to get to the top. So I did end, and then arrow up. Now I'm at the top. Now, you can pick any column, right? It doesn't have to be nationality, it could be any, as long as you only pick the column. You know, if I did this, it's going to count 6, 6, and 6 and give me a count of 18. I don't want 18. So as long as we're just keeping it to one column. And how do I select the whole range?
Shift and
Down.
Shift, end, arrow down. Yeah. So now it has the whole range selected. Now that should be all that I need. So if I do end the parenthesis to close it, and I hope I'm right, it gives me the total. Okay, so now we see 227. And let me know when you're there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. That's obviously not the answer we're looking for because that's all of them. Okay, so let's go back up to that. And we're going to edit this line. So we have the total count. What do we need to do? I mean, just forget Excel, forget everything. What, mathematically speaking, what do we need to do?
Subtract
The others.
Okay, and how would you, what would you do? Would you do this minus this minus this minus this? I mean, how would you
No,
write
I would
it?
add USA all the way down to Japan and then subtract it.
Okay, so we're going to take this total number and we're going to subtract the sum of all this, right?
The sum.
We're going to add them all up together and then whatever that is, we're going to subtract it. So the way we do that is we're inside of our formula up here, right?
Right.
So we can click in it and we can add to it. So we want to subtract, so that's a minus sign.
Sum.
There's another function called sum. So you type in sum, and see as I go, SU gives you all kinds of different functions you can pick from. We just want simple sum, and you got sum ifs and things, so there's lots of things that Excel will do for you. So sum is good enough. We want our parenthesis. Now we're going to select our range. So let's start at the top here. And let's just, since it's so small, let's just hold down shift so we can anchor it. And do our arrow, just move the arrow to where you want it to add it. Okay? End your parenthesis. Press enter. And that's how many are left. So just to double check our work, we know how many students are there?
27.
227. So if you highlight this, let's just start at the top, I'm holding down shift, and let's just highlight this. Most of the time, I mean, unless yours is not set up this way, Excel will give you some quick little numbers here. It tells you how many counts there are, what's the sum, even gives you averages. There's other things you can add there if you want to see quick numbers. But we can see all our numbers add up to 227, so we know we're good. Okay?
Really good.
Okay. So that's one part of part one. We're not there yet. We've only done 1 year. Okay? So now we have our new data set. And from here you can make charts and do all kinds of fun things. Fun is in quotes when I say it. So for each year, separately recode nationalities so that all nationalities with a count of 1 or 2 are listed as other. Okay. So I'm going to rename my worksheet down here, because sheet 1 doesn't really tell me anything. So I'm going to call that, I don't know, let's just call it 2008, how about rework or recode? That's what it says. You can name it whatever you want, as long as you know what it means.
Now we're gonna do the same thing with 2009.
Yeah, 1 second. But I just wanted to show you one
I'm
more
so
thing.
excited.
I know.
I wanted to show you one more thing. See how we renamed that worksheet? Now if you go back into your formulas, it automatically renamed them for you. So it's smart enough to know that when you make a name change, it's going to change it. And one other little thing, when you're on the worksheet right now, in your formula, how it says recode, 2008 recode up there, but we're on 2008 recode, you don't need to have that in there. It does it because I was moving around.
Okay.
But if I were to take that out and just have A1, it would be happy.
Okay.
But not with the data range, because it wouldn't know to go to the other worksheet without it. All right, so we got this table, we're done, we're happy, we should save so we don't lose our stuff. I'm going to save this in a different spot. This is chapter 2.
Should I save it too?
Yeah, you can save it wherever. I'm going to create a new folder. Just call it 2. And I'm going to save it in there. That way you have the original.
I'm sorry, this is chapter 3.
Oh, this is 3? Okay,
Yes.
I'll rename that. Let's do it like that. Okay. Go back in here. Folder is open. What's open? Okay. Something's open. Doesn't matter. We'll fix it later. All right. So now we want to do the same thing for 2009, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you want me to go through it quickly, or do you guys want to tell me how you think it should be done?
Go through it quickly.
You want me to do the
Yeah.
fast?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I know we're losing time. Okay. So I'm going to create a new worksheet. I go back here. I'm going to copy this whole range. We're going to put it back in the top up here. We're going to paste it. We're going to remove the duplicates. Yes, yes, yes. No, I do not have headers. This is one thing you got to be careful about here. We didn't see this before because it did it right. If it thinks there's headers, it's going to skip our first one because it thinks it's a header. And this kind of gives it away. When you see this and it thinks the header is called USA, so we want to uncheck that. So now it selects the whole thing.
So we're selecting the whole thing so we can put it on the,
This is so now we got our list again. See? We have our country list.
I'm sorry, I know you guys want to go fast, but what do I have to do now?
I don't know what you're looking
I
at.
already did the sheet 2, but now I'm going back to data in 2009.
You got to highlight your whole data range. You got to
Nationality
all
only.
the nationalities.
Okay.
You got them all highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Control C to copy it.
Wait on me. I go to the sheet 2.
You
Oh, no,
do
you have to
Control
copy
C.
it. Control C to copy it, and now I go to sheet 2
Go to the top corner, wherever you want to start.
and Control V.
Now with it still highlighted, you go under your data tab and you do remove duplicates. But make sure it doesn't have USA as a column name and the header thing is in check.
Got it? Okay.
And click OK and it should OK that
Yeah.
and it should clean it up. We're all good here?
Yeah, we
I
are.
had to restart, I'm getting there, 2009. I'm highlighting, shift and down. Control copy, got it. Okay, got it.
Okay. Did you get rid of the duplicates?
Oh.
She's so cute. She's a young one. in
Remember those days?
Okay, I'm there.
Okay. So now we're going to do our formula, right? Let me do it fast or you want to tell me?
Then you go to equals,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna do a count if.
Okay.
And then you're gonna do the parentheses,
The first parenthesis, yeah.
the first parenthesis, oh, you did that already.
Yeah.
And then, you're gonna go to the first USA
Where?
on the data.
Which data?
Data 2009.
Data 2009, okay. So how do I get there?
You click on anywhere, and then you go shift, end,
Did it get you there?
no. You go shift, and then you go arrow, up.
No, first I just want to get to the top.
Oh, you click on it like we said, and then oh wait, I did an error, hold on. Hold on. No, you click on it, on anything, on like USA or wherever, and then you go end.
Shift and,
No shift.
oh, okay,
Just click on end, so now it's in end mode. I'll go arrow up.
arrow up.
And
Okay,
if I held down shift, it would anchor it way down at the bottom, but that wouldn't be necessarily the very bottom.
Right.
So I want to start at the top, but not under nationality. I want to be the person below it.
But I don't have that counter thing on top of it. So I must have done something. Oh, I see what I did. I'm not even on the oh,
Okay, it's kind of messed up.
what did I do?
I don't know. Let's just kind of clear this out. Okay, now you can do the,
Okay. Now I can do what?
now we want to select that whole range. So how do we select the whole range? What do we do?
We go control shift and
Not control.
shift and down.
Shift, end, and down. And you only have to hold shift. End is just press once and arrow down is only once.
And then control C.
No, because we're not copying it.
Oh, that's
We're
right,
just-
we're
we're
bringing the
just- We're
range.
just telling it what range we want to use. So we got the range selected, so now what do we need to do?
criteria, so comma,
Comma,
Comma, yeah.
and what is our criteria?
right now we want USA. We need to click on one of the nationalities.
Well,
The first one.
okay, so we need to be back on our new worksheet, right? So right now I'm still on the source data.
So we go back to the front, to number 2, well,
We go back to our sheet 2 or whatever it is that
Right.
you just created.
and we hit USA.
And the reason why we're clicking on USA is because we are creating this formula that's right to the next, right here. If we started here, we could have done this, we would select this one. We want the count here of whatever this is.
So we have to go in order.
It just makes it easier. That way when we copy and paste it, it all just like, it follows right along, okay? So that's why we're selecting USA, because we started right next to it. So we're gonna select it, and now what?
And now we need to anchor C2 to
Yeah, but
C.
let's close it out just for, because if you start moving around while it's trying to build,
So we end up with
Close
that
the parentheses
parentheses.
and hit enter.
and then hit enter. Okay, so now we have our formula in place.
Right.
Now it's easier, Excel doesn't like freak out on you as much when you have it already in place. So now we need to anchor it. How do we anchor it?
The dollar sign.
Where?
In front of the columns, in front of C2.
In front of C2.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so here's my dollar sign, okay?
And then I get in front of 2.
In front of the number 2, okay? Now what?
In front of C227.
Right.
Okay.
to, hold on. a
Is
second.
mine correct or is it not correct? Before I hit enter.
Yeah, and now
But no,
on
now we need it in front of the 2.
227.
Okay. Anything else?
We need the parentheses.
We already have that.
Oh, then we're done.
We're done.
Okay, so I hit enter. Okay. So now I want that formula for all the other countries. What do I need to do?
Now you are going to
Now we can copy paste it. to
click on
bottom.
the 150 on the,
Right, we're gonna copy and paste it. How should I do it?
well, because there's so many, they're very little, so you just have to do it one by one. Shift.
Well, what are we doing though?
We're copying
You,
that.
you tell me exactly what I should be doing right now, I'll do it. What should I do?
We go to the 155,
I'm there.
and then we're gonna hit, we're gonna have it in that little wiggly.
How do I get the wiggly thing?
If we go to Control V.
Control
No,
C.
Control C.
Control C is I'm gonna make a copy of it,
Yeah.
okay? So now I made a copy of it. Where am I gonna put it?
Now you need to, because we have it all anchored now, we're gonna copy one by one.
Or wait, I think shift and then down arrow to
Yeah.
the Philippines.
Okay, do I stay right where I'm at and hit shift, or what do I do?
You go one down.
Okay, so now I'm next to India. What do I do?
Shift down
Shift, down,
until the Philippines.
all the way down, holding shift. Okay, now what?
And now you are going to go Control V.
Control V, and I pasted it.
I got it.
Okay,
You
so,
got it, Erika.
so-
Woo!
because it always leaves things kind of messy, you know, I usually click out of it. This is my personal habit. It doesn't really change anything. I click out of it, so it kind of gets rid of all that shading. And I press escape, and it gets rid of the little squiggly. And that's just, you don't have to do that. It's just what I do for my own preference.
Okay.
Okay? So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get rid of the countries that have 2 or less.
Right.
So now we're going to do it the faster way, since you understand what we're ultimately trying to do. So I'll show you. Are you?
I'm
catching
struggling,
it? Okay,
but I'm getting there.
you let me know if you need some help. I can walk you through it.
So what I did wrong was I was doing shift C. Okay, so I need to get out
Okay,
of that.
yeah. So just hit escape for now, top left corner. Okay, so that kind of like resets it. It says, okay, let's start over.
Mhm.
So we want to copy that. So how do you copy?
So Control C. And we're gonna go one down,
All right.
shift down,
Yeah.
and now Control V.
You paste it.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so now we want to get rid of those little countries, right? So which country should I start with?
3. No. I don't know.
What country has 2 or less?
Oh,
Start at the top. Which country has 2 or less people, students?
Peru.
Peru?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to highlight. I'm going to highlight the row. So if you see what I'm doing, I'm clicking on the number, and the entire row is highlighted. Do you guys have that too?
Yeah.
So the one below it is Japan. It has 3, so I don't need to do that. I only want this one row. It's highlighted. I right click on it, and I delete. And now it moves everything up, and it's all nice and clean. So now if you look at the ones underneath Japan, they're all 2 or less, right? So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to highlight them all as I move the arrow down. They're all highlighted. I right click, I delete, and they are gone. Okay. So now we have to account for all those. And we probably could have just eyeballed those 6 countries and just added them up real quick, right? We could have done that. But to do it in a formula kind of way, we're going to make this another group. And from here, what did we do? How did we figure this out last time?
We need a sum, so we do equals.
Okay. Mathematically speaking, how are we going to figure this?
We're gonna
Forget Excel. Just say, how would you work this out in your head?
We are going to add all the numbers, all the students,
Okay.
and then subtract the sum of what we have.
The ones
Together.
that are still up there.
Mhm.
Okay, so how do we get a count of all the students?
back to our
Or
data
formula.
2009.
Okay, so what formula should we, what function should we use here? Well, how do we count?
Count it.
Well, we don't need to do
Oh,
if.
it's count A.
Count A,
So we
yes.
Okay, so let's,
Count.
if you're not sure and you don't remember, just start typing it, because you know it's count something, and you'll get your list here.
Mhm.
And you can see the description pop up for each one.
Okay.
So we know it's count A, because it's everything that's not empty. So I'm gonna double click that, and now it's waiting for my range.
Why am I on C instead of B? Oh, God. It's fine, go ahead. How did I do that? I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Neither. I'm on C, not on B.
Oh, you got an extra column.
Okay.
All right. So we want to do the count, right?
Mhm.
And how do I get the count?
We go back to our data set,
Okay.
2009,
2009 data set, okay?
and
You guys walk me through this. So you look at mine and tell me what keys I should be doing.
Here you go.
what?
Either one.
Well, I mean, you just go back and then you start, you click anywhere,
Click anywhere, okay?
right? And then you go, shift, end, or no, you just go end,
Okay, so I push end.
and then,
Oh, but
Arrow
we need to
up.
be on one of the actual.
Actually,
data
it
sets,
could be,
right?
it's fine even in the blank area.
Oh,
So if I go up, it just goes to the top.
Right.
It just goes to the end. So I still need to move over, so I wanna get over and be at the top of my list, right?
Mhm.
So I wanna highlight the whole list. So how do I highlight the whole list?
then you, go down to India.
Go down to India,
No,
We
never
hit
mind.
shift and then
Shift,
down
yeah,
arrow,
down there.
shift, down area, okay?
all the way down.
Take a long time.
Or we can just do shift and
End.
down,
Oh, okay, so N, and now what?
arrow down.
Arrow down. Okay, that's much quicker. Okay, so I am so smart. Okay, so that's all we need to do for count. So let's end the parenthesis. And let's hit enter, and let's make sure we got a number. So do we know that that's the right number for total students? Maybe we don't know. That's okay. We'll double check it at the end. Okay, but we need to go back into our formula. Okay, is everybody there? We have our new formula highlighted?
So once I have it up there, close the arrow, close the parentheses.
Right, close the parenthesis and hit enter. Okay, we got 226 showing?
Mhm.
Okay, so highlight that cell again. So now that formula is up here in our nice little box.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have what we think is the total number of students.
Mhm.
And we want to subtract what?
This,
The sum of what?
of what we have on here.
Of what's remaining on the screen? Okay, so what do I have to do here?
Subtract, so hit the minus,
Minus, okay?
sum.
Okay. And just so you're aware, sum is a function. So that's why it's showing up a list here. And that's why if you see it here, it shows, it has like a little F. It's really hard to see, but it's a function. So we want that, we're gonna do the parenthesis, and now what am I gonna do?
We're gonna click on 155,
Okay, so the top of the range, okay,
hit shift, and then down arrow until 3.
until Japan, okay, now what?
Close it.
With parenthesis,
See?
okay, hit enter.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it,
I know,
because I don't
I-
want to interrupt.
you can
Interrupt.
interrupt. It's
So
fine.
I'm going back here,
Okay.
hold on, I'm going.
No,
I haven't done it. I told you all that, but I didn't do it.
Can you go back to your new sheet? Because you had it right there. You got your number right there. Go in there.
And this number?
Yeah. Why are you saying you didn't do it? Oh, you typed it in.
Yeah, I told you. I'm mobile. Come on, tell me how to do it.
Well, go back to where you put the 226.
Okay,
Okay, so you deleted. So we want a formula right there.
C.
Okay. So what function counts for us?
The count A.
Okay, well,
No, the equal. Right?
equal starts it, right? And count A is what we used, right? Double
No.
click, just now you gotta double click it. No. Just delete and start over. No, an equal sign.
What am I doing wrong? Now I have to what, double
Double
click?
click. Okay, now you can select your range, just waiting for the range.
Now I just go over here and then go end up.
Okay, why are you starting at the second student?
Well, obviously you can start anywhere, okay?
Okay. Now, what?
Now it's shift and down.
Okay.
Now control C.
No. You're not copying it.
That's right, that's what I did. I copied it.
You're just picking, you're just telling it where you want it to look. So you've already done it, so just close out your parenthesis. And you don't even need to click on there because it knows you're doing your formula.
Okay.
Hit enter. Okay. Now you got your 226. Now click on that 226.
Right.
You have your formula back up there. Go to the end of it. And we want to subtract the sum of the other one. So minus, and then sum, parenthesis. You're going to select your range that you want it to add up.
Now I'm gonna go over here and then. What did I do?
I don't know.
Oh,
Let's get rid of the wrong parenthesis. The other one.
this, oh, the other way, that's right. Now I'm gonna go over here. And then, that's where, this is control C.
You have to highlight the range. So how do you highlight the range? You anchor it right where it's at. So how do you anchor it? You hold shift. Shift anchors it. Now close your parenthesis. Hit it. Okay. I don't know why your number is different. Let's see.
I don't know.
Hold on, hold on.
What do I have wrong? 3, 5.
What number did you get for other?
9.
Oh, I got a 4.
Oh.
It's okay, that's
No,
not
no,
pulling it
stop,
up.
stop,
That's
stop.
fine.
So it's 220, it's, you have the right count, but let me see what this says.
All I did was copy it, I didn't put any other numbers in.
Okay, you have,
I think I have an extra 5 somewhere, I see it, look. You have 10 and 5, and then,
okay, you typed in,
I didn't type anything in.
well, you have a hard 5 there, and it shouldn't be, but, oh, what the heck? Okay, let's go back up to your numbers up here. Let's see if you have the right, oh, so you got nationality up here, that's, okay, that's,
Oh, that's what happened?
okay, why do I have 217? Okay, so You look at your list here, and I'm gonna read off my numbers.
Okay.
USA 155,
Right.
India 29, Brazil 3, China 10, Taiwan 5, South Korea 12, Japan 3, other 9.
Yep.
Then why do you have different numbers?
I don't know. It's okay. I don't want to hold it up. I mean, I know the idea.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, oh, I see, okay, I know what I did. -9, no, you're good, okay. I was looking at, I didn't have the bottom one highlighted. Okay. So, I think we finished A.
Let's go to B.
All right, so any questions on this part here?
No.
And what I'll do, again, like I did before, is I'm gonna rename my worksheet, so I double click on it, or you can right click and it probably has rename. And I'm gonna put in whatever you want, but I put in 2009 recode, no big deal. And make sure you save. Disk at the top. All right. We're all good? Do we need a break or anything?
No.
No time for breaks? Okay, for each year, create a crosstabs of gender versus the recorded nationality and an associated column chart. Wow. Does there seem to be any relationship between gender and the recorded nationality? Is the pattern about the same in the 2 years? For each year separately, recorded nationality. See, I wonder if crosstabs for each year, create a crosstabs of gender versus the recoded nationality. See, here, we don't have, I don't know how this is going to work. Because we don't have the gender in our new data here. Does there seem to be any relationship between gender and the recoded nationality? Is the pattern about the same in 2 years? For each year, create a crosstabs. Not really sure what they're referring to with that. Maybe Stat Tools will tell us. Maybe it has something in here. Start over here. I'm not sure how to do this, what it's looking for, so I'm just gonna like walk through it and see what it does. Select the range. I don't think that's gonna do it. So, yeah, that was helpful. I think it might be referring to a pivot table. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
I heard everyone talking about pivot tables in class.
For this one assignment,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, they're. See, I just don't see what it's going to do with this. Crosstabs. Okay, here we go. Crosstabs. Crosstabs is smoking and drinking. Shown as percentages.
Looking at it, I'm hoping.
crosstabs from county's formula. For each year, create a crosstabs. Okay, so we're going to create it brand new. So we're not going to, it's not necessarily this. Crosstabs of gender versus the recoded nationality and an associated column chart. Associated column, okay, that's fine. So create a crosstabs of gender versus recoded nationality. So let's see, back to what we were just doing. I don't think it has anything to do with this pivot table, so I'm going to delete this worksheet. Yeah, goodbye. I'm going to create a new worksheet. Forgive me, because I'm going to learn as I explain,
That's fine.
so you can just see what I'm doing. So it looks like these crosstabs is like one set of data, like down here, and a different data elements up here. And the crosstab is, if it matches this column and matches this row, here's a number. So this might be, you know, just like what we have over here, all this, but instead of having one grand total here, let's do this. I'll tell you what I'll do. So we can save that stuff. I'm going to delete this new worksheet I just created. I'm going to go to the 2008 recode, the one I just created. If you go to the tab and you right click on it, you'll see an option to move or copy. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, click on that move or copy. Don't press OK yet. Okay, we want this to go right before or right after the tab we just created. So we want it right after 2008 recode and right before data 2009. So it tells you right here, it says before sheet, we want before data 2009. So we're going to select that one. And you're going to check the box that says create a copy.
Okay.
Otherwise it just moves it over. And we click OK. So now we have a copy of what we just did. Now I can mess around with this one and still not ruin what we just did. So this wants to do a crosstab, meaning we're going to have all our nationalities on the side here, just like we're having it. But now we're going to have something up here that's going to be male and female. We're going to show the genders along with it. So it's not going to be all grouped into one. We're going to sit there and figure out, yeah, we'll count it, but then we're also going to count an additional criteria, which is, are they male or are they female? Okay? So what I need to do is I need to insert a row at the top. So I'm going to go to the top row and highlight the whole row. Right click, and then go to insert. And it shoves everything down. Okay? Now I'm going to go in this first column, not the one over the nationalities, but the next one over. And let's just type in, let's just make it M. We'll just do just like what they have, right? I think this is how they have it. M or F. Now, the way my brain works, I don't like things all kind of off-centered and all that stuff, so I like things nice and centered. So I'm gonna highlight the whole column, and while I hold down Shift, I'm gonna move my arrow over one, so now C is also highlighted. I'm gonna go up to my little alignment stuff up here, which is on my home, and the one that looks like it's all centering, these will center. This is left justified, these are right justified. I'm gonna click this, so it now centers everything nice and pretty. And if I want, and actually if this was like a nice big wide cell, you can either center it or it can be at the top or at the bottom, and that's what these guys up here for. So if you want it at the top, right in the middle, or right at the bottom, so I always select that just in case I move it. So now they're nicely centered. Okay, I don't need all these things anymore because these are meaningless. Well, actually, let me see. Can I use this? No, I can't. I guess I typed in the number there. That's weird. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's get rid of it. So we can't use count if for this one. because COUNTIF only uses one criteria. So what's nice in here, and I'll just kind of walk through it since it's getting kind of late. We're going to go to counts again, and we have COUNTIF right here, and see the explanation counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. But if I go to COUNTIFs, it counts the number of cells specified by a given set of conditions or criteria. So COUNTIFs will let you have more than one criteria. Okay, so we want COUNTIFs. It's set up a little bit different. So right now it's asking for the criteria first. It's like, okay, what's the first criteria? The first criteria is we want the nationality over here. Now it cut it off, but it still says USA over here. So I'm going to click on this, and you see how it did not add that 2008 recode in there. It just gives me A2 because I'm on that worksheet. You did okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So my criteria is there. So I'm going to do comma. I'm sorry, I'm doing it backwards. I should just read it. Criteria range 1. So it wants the range first. Let me escape out of that. And I'll let me count back. Catch back up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the criteria here is we want it, oh, this is the range. We want it to count, not from here, we have to go to our original data. We want it, we're going to count, we're going to start here, okay? So we're going to go to the top of our nationality, and we're going to do the same shift and down, and we have our whole range selected for nationality, okay? So we have the first criteria's range selected, comma. Now you can see where it's bolding criteria 1. Criteria 1, okay, let's go back to our new, criteria 1 is this nationality right here. We want it to match USA, okay? So I'm going to hit comma again. And now it's prompting me for criteria 2's range. So what range of data do I want from criteria 2? What range? So I'm going to go back to my data source. And now we're going to look at the gender. So I'm going to go start at the top here. As soon as I get this through, I will check you guys out, okay? I'm going to select the whole range. Oops. Shift, end, down. I'm going to hit comma. And from this, I'm just going to have it, actually, since I typed an M, since I made it M already, I want it to match this. And I'm going to close it out. Okay, so now there are 92 males from the USA in students. We look at the formula that it created. It's looking at the data range, and this is just nationalities. And it's just looking at USA. So it has to satisfy that first, and if that's fine, then it looks at this. Now it's looking at the range of genders, and it has to match what I put up here, which is M. Okay? Now, I want to copy and paste this around, so I need to anchor stuff. Now, one thing I need to be careful about is I do want to anchor my data source here, because that will not change no matter where I copy and paste it. But it's also looking up here. And if I move it over one, I do want it to look at this one. I don't want it to look over here. So I'm going to anchor my data sources up here. Okay, I'm just going to hit enter, just so you can see. It's easier to see. Okay, so now this is all good. Now if I copy and paste this one over here, I'm trying to be quick, copy and paste. Now it says nothing. I have 0. Okay, because what it's looking at, it's looking in the right place for our data range, but now it's trying to look at B2. B2 is 92. It's not looking over here. I want it to look over here. So I need to anchor the column, because I don't want the column to move. I always want it to stay here. But if I bring it down here, I do want this row to move. So let's just anchor.
Oh, I lost everything.
Let's just anchor the column, which is A.
Huh? You did too? We lost it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll follow this. I just want to explain, then I'll help each one of you, okay? So now I anchored the column, so when I move it over this way, it's going to stay there.
Okay.
If I go down, it will go down, because the 2 is not anchored. The 2 will move. I move row, it moves with me. I move columns, it won't go anywhere. Same thing over here. Now, I want the column to move, but I don't want the row to move, because it's always in row 1, where it's M or F. So if I copy down here, I don't want this to start just looking one up. I want it to look here always. So I need to anchor my row. Okay? So you see I anchored the row. When it comes to this, I anchored the column when it comes to this. Okay? So now, when I copy and paste it over, it's still looking at A2, which is USA, and now it's looking at C1, which is female. Okay. Now, if I shift and arrow over, I have it highlighted, both of them. Now let's copy. I'm going to go down 1. Let's go all the way here. And
Wow.
looks like I have some numbers wrong. Oh, it's wrong because there is no other, right? So I'll have to change that. So I'm going to put, they do have a total column, so I'm going to make a total also. And let me show you, I want my total column to look just like this. So this is extra. There's a little format painter thing here. I highlight it, I select it here, and it's going to make this one formatted just like that one. It's just a quick and dirty way of doing that. You can watch the video and follow that one. So now I can type in here equal the sum of those two and do all that, but there's a quick way to do this. Let's start here. I'm going to hold down Shift so it's anchored, and I'm going to extend it out one beyond my numbers I want to add up. There's this little sum sign from math. Let's see, yeah, it even says sum. If I click that, it automatically sums it up for me. And it will put in my nice little formula for me. So it's already there. And I can copy and paste that and drag it down. I'll even drag it down here because I know I'm going to put something in another. So these numbers should match up what we had over here. And let me just kind of copy and paste this so we can kind of copy. This is just for our own sanity's sake. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to do something special because there's formulas on the other side. I don't want to copy formulas over here. I just want the values. So what I can do here is there's this other function called paste. You just click on this little arrow down, and it has different values here. There's different pasting functions. So I just want to paste the values. I don't want to paste formulas. And you can hover over it, and it even gives you like an example. Okay, this is what I'm going to give you. So if you just hover over, it'll tell you if there's any difference on what it's going to try to do. So I just want the values. I click select, and if I look in here, you can see it's just numbers. So that's a good way to, you can look, yep. Okay, we know we're good. But now, we need to do this for other. So we're going to do the same thing that we did the first time. We're going to count all the students, but this time we're going to count all that are male, and then for the other one we're going to count all that are female. So we're going to do a count if, because we only have one criteria. The range, we got to go back to the original. We want to look at the gender. The criteria I could just put an M in here if I wanted, but I'm gonna select it up here. Okay, now that's all the males. So let me lock this down. And I want to lock down just the row. I don't want to lock the column. So now when I copy, paste over, 227, I think that's right. We had 227 students. Okay. So now now that I have total students who are male in this one here, I want to subtract all the ones up above like we did before. So we're going to do minus, and we're going to do sum, and we're going to select our range, and boom. So now we have 13. Now I don't want 60 here, and instead of me having to type everything over and do whatever I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy, because this here, I want this whole thing to move, because when I shift it over, I want it to be the next. So I'm just going to go and copy and paste it, and you can see how it matches up. 17 to our 17. Let's get rid of all this, because we've already double checked our work. We can also have, let's see, do they do it? They do a bottom total down here as well. So let's start up here, shift, arrow all the way down, I went one extra, I do my little sum, boom, it's nice and happy, I copy and paste it over one. Now this one, final one here, I can either copy across, or I can copy up here all the way down, like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this guy here, paste it over, and there's your crosstabs. And if you really wanted to make this look like they do in the book here, it looks like if you look on page 90, you'll see that I don't think this is really that important, but you can see how it's kind of like highlighted. The numbers are highlighted, not the totals or anything. So if you wanted to do that, let's say we just want the numbers, not the totals, so I'm going to select up here, I'm going to use my shift, and I'm going to highlight just that little block area, okay? This little thing up here, this gives you borders. Now if you click here, it's going to give you whatever border is in there, which is a line on the bottom. So it's going to give you a line at the bottom of each one of these cells. We don't want that. So we're going to drop this down, and we just want a border on the outside of the whole thing. So if I click on that, now I have a nice little border around the outside of that range. So that looks like your crosstab, what they're asking for. Can I take this?
Yes. And you have to do it though, so we can save it. We're looking at you, but we haven't done it.
Okay. Okay.
Help her, and then if we don't have time, you can help me at home.
Okay.
They're gonna kick us out of here in 20 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know what I did.
Okay. Okay, so this gets messy. Looking at over here, just look up here. Okay, so you have the right, I think that's the correct range, 8.2, okay, that's fine. And then, okay, this part's wrong.
This.
Yeah, so just go ahead and just click on the end and just kind of go back over that. You can just backspace over whatever you want.
All over there?
Yeah. Okay, so now it's looking, because it's bold, it's looking for the range of the second criteria.
Okay.
So you don't have to click on that, you go back to our original data, wherever that's, okay? So we already did nationality, so we want to do gender. So let's click on the gender column. Okay, start the next one down. We want to highlight the whole thing.
So is it
Shift and down. Okay, now you have your range selected, comma. Now we got to tell it what to look at. So go to our tab that we just made. Okay, and since we put M up there, let's just go ahead and click on that.
On N?
On M. Okay, now do your end parenthesis, so we can lock that down, hit enter. Okay, let's see what we got. Go back in here, let's see. Click on that little, I'll tell you, it just says error. Okay, that doesn't help. let's see, count ifs, data. Recode. It looks right, but I don't know what its problem is, so let's just retype it. Just do it, you can type right over it, you don't have to even,
Okay.
just start doing an equal sign. Let's start over. Okay, count ifs. Okay, now we need to select the range for the first criteria.
We go back to 2008. Is this our range?
Yeah, we're gonna do nationality, so we're gonna start at the top. Okay,
Okay.
comma. And we have to pick the criteria that we need to use. So we gotta go back to our page. You can't really see it. If you want to just type in A2, because we know it's A2, you just can't click on it because everything's in the way.
Here?
Yeah, just start typing A2. Okay? And you can actually kind of see it highlighted it, so it knows where you're at.
That's what threw me off.
Oh.
I started doing things because I couldn't see it.
Yeah, it has a problem with that.
Okay.
Do comma. Okay, now we'll do the second range for the second criteria.
Back to our data.
We're gonna do
Which
gender.
is this.
Okay, now comma. Okay, now we have to select the gender. So we want to pick, we gotta go back to our tab we just made. We want to look at F. Actually, I'm sorry.
Or male.
Yeah, we want male, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, now do your closing parenthesis and enter. Okay, so now go back to that number, back to that formula. See how it clears everything out and makes it cleaner? Okay, we know we want to lock in our ranges, right? So let's lock those down.
So starting here.
Yep, that's fine.
Do I want to lock into?
Yep. This range, we want to lock the whole thing because the data is not moving. And then you have the other data range there. Go ahead and enter, so that kind of locks it in place. Then go back in here, click on it. So now, when we move this over, we do want this one to move over to C. So we do want the B to move, but we don't want the 1 to move.
So we want to lock that.
We want to lock the row.
Okay.
Okay. Now for the A2, we don't want the column to move, we want the row to move. So as we copy down, we want the row to move, but we want it to stay in A, so let's lock A. Enter. Okay, so now you're locked in. Now highlight it again, and that should be good for copying. Now copy it and paste it over under female. And does that match up what I got?
Yes.
Okay, so now we know this is good, so now let's highlight them together. Okay, now you can either do your little box or you can Control C, or however you want. Okay, now if you make a mistake like that, just hit escape and it comes back.
Just Control C. See?
Okay.
I just shift.
And now we want to highlight that section. So start at the, no, you don't want to highlight what you already, yep, there you go. Yep.
Control V.
Now, I made the same mistake, it's not going to work, so we're going to delete that out anyway. Just, yeah. Okay. Now, they want totals, so let's put in our totals. Okay. Do you know how to remember how I did the totals? Okay, click on this, click on the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, hold down Shift,
So,
go right until you get under total, one more. Okay, so when we do this little auto sum thing here, it's going to put our total in that blank spot right at the end. So click on, you can let go of Shift and just click on auto sum. And there's your, now click on this one here, because it put a nice little formula in for you. Now we want to copy, Control C, go down one, and then Shift and then hold your range all the way down. Okay, press Control V to copy, now you got your totals there. Now it wants another totals column down here, so we'll do that before we do others. So if you go under other, under total. Okay. Now you're gonna start up here, and then shift and all the way down to total. And do your auto sum again. Okay, now highlight that.
Highlight this.
Control C to copy and then paste it to the next two columns. Okay, so now we have to calculate this. So let's go in this box, the one other, and go to the males. Okay, so now we're going to have to count males. For everything, so what we want to do is we want to count all the males. So what, and that's all we need to worry about is how many males are total.
Okay.
So how would we do that?
Will you be able to highlight this and then hit the sum again?
No, not yet. We're going to subtract that, but first of all, we have to get the total males. So we want total males, and then we'll subtract out what we've added up.
Okay.
So go back to your other empty, one above it. And just for my own sanity purposes, I don't like the little squiggly.
Oh, yeah.
It gives me nightmares. We want to just count the males, so we're going to use the count if function, because there's only one criteria, and that's gender. Equals, right? Count if. Okay, double click. Okay, now we got to pick the range, so let's go back to our data table. And we're going to pick gender, all the gender. Okay. We want to select all range. Okay, comma. And now we want the criteria. Now go back to your new tab. We want to select the M at the top because we want it to be equal to that. Close parenthesis. Enter. Okay. Now let's go back into that little section there. Let's lock down our data.
So, in front of B?
Mm-hmm.
Right, two. This way.
And you don't necessarily have to worry about this because we're only moving it over one and it's going to move over one in the column and that's good enough.
Okay.
If you were going to copy it down here, then we'd have to lock it down, but we don't. We're only one over, so we're okay. Hit enter. Okay, that's all the males. Okay, but we don't want all the males, so go ahead and highlight it. Go to the end, and we want to subtract out all the males that are in these other countries, right?
Yes.
So minus the sum, parenthesis. Now the other way. Okay, start at the top, 92.
Okay.
Select, shift down till you get the other countries. Okay, end parenthesis. Enter. Okay, is that what I have? 13?
Yes.
Okay, let's highlight that one. Control C. Okay, escape. Escape. Control C.
Control C. And then paste over here.
Put it on. Control V.
You guys better hurry up and do it.
We're trying.
We have 11 minutes and
Okay.
Emma's gonna be like,
Um,
hurry up.
Okay, now take this one up here, because all we wanted to do, the next one up. Control C, let's copy that one. Come back.
Come back.
Come back.
It's okay.
Check. Okay, now go down one. Control V. Okay, now enter, or it just actually let me use my escape.
Okay.
We know our numbers look good. Just for my own sanity purposes,
We want to do that box thing?
yes, we're going to do the box, but first of all, I want column D to look like column C. So I highlight all of column C, do my little format painter, I go to the top, I get my little paintbrush, I click enter, and it makes it look like that.
Okay.
So now we want to put that little box around it, so start at the top of your, no, we're not doing the headers, just the numbers
Just
inside,
numbers.
not the total though. I don't think it matters, but this is what the book looks like. Okay,
Okay.
now you don't want to click that because, go ahead and click it anyway. Click over here.
Over here?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and do it again. Did it work?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I see. So it put it at the bottom.
Oh,
See, it took the whole range. So go ahead and highlight the whole thing again. That little section, okay? Drop down the little list. We just want the outside border. And then move away, click away, and it just does the outside border. Perfect?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Save it now and then we got one problem.
Save,
done.
I know.
No, we can't do it here.
We
gotta
can't do
pack.
this?
We gotta pack.
Actually, yours is already done.
Lucky you.
No, but I want to learn it. I mean, but it feels better.
Well, you should
I've
be able
learned more today than I have in these past 3 weeks.
Oh, good,
Class.
good.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I know we can't really get into anything else, we don't really have the time. But it's just, this is, I think everything that they do, this is a good example of it. It's very simplified, you know, situation, the little thing you want to do. But when you look at this, and I think part of the problem is here, it also asks, does there seem to be any relationship between gender and the recoded nationality? So the recoded nationality is where we stuck everything in other, right?
Yes.
So we're looking at this going, if we want to look at this, and we say maybe, okay, you know, it looks like there is a, you know, for the countries that are not highly represented, where there's very few people coming from those countries, predominantly it's male. There are males that are coming. You know, but is that any different than, and you're part of this conversation too.
I'm listening to you, honey.
Is that any different than the other countries? You know, and this is, so when this whole thing is data analysis, it kind of like, okay, what's, you know, you can eyeball this and go, I don't know, South Korea, and there's 12 males and only 1 female, I don't know. I mean, by just eyeballing it, it's really hard to like come to any conclusion. But let me just quickly show you what I would be doing here.
Okay.
I would want to see percentages, because that's really what it's about. It's like what percentage from each country is male, what percentage is female. So I would probably do something like this. I would probably copy this over here and make a new little set of data here. And I would probably take, well, first of all, we need to format it because I want percentages. So I want this to say, I want to format these cells. Come on. And I want them to be percentages. So I don't want 2 decimal places, but 1's fine. So now it knows all the data, all these numbers that come up here should be a percentage. So I want to see what percentage, and I put an equal because I want to put a formula, of this are males for the USA. So I'm going to take this number divided by the total. You give me it and I'll hit enter. So I can see that almost 72% of the USA students are male.
Okay.
Is that unusual? I don't know yet. So I want to do the same thing for female. Now I don't want D to move, because I always want D to stay there. I need to anchor D. So I'm going to anchor D. But 2 is going to change because as I copy it down, it's going to move. So I'm going to just copy and paste this over, and just for error checking, I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm doing auto sum, it should equal 100%. So that way I know that my formula is right. That's all that this is for, right?
Now, how did you get the percentage for the male and female?
I did this number divided by the total.
Right, but, okay, so I went as far as copy and pasting, male and female, and then from there you highlighted this.
No.
No.
No, if you go to the next one down.
Go to the next one down.
Yeah. Do an equal.
Equals,
And then you
check it percent.
click. Yeah, you click on the males. You don't have to do any formulas. I mean functions. This is just basic math. So if you look at mine, it's just B2 divided by D2. And
So that little slash like that is divided by?
divided by, right. And so you can see how, okay, so both of them are divided by the total. Now as I copy it down, I guess we're okay. So let me copy this all down here, and it should.
Great, oh my gosh.
So now I can look at this much easier. Now I can go, okay, this is 76% are male in all those small little, barely represented countries.
It does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because you look at the USA, USA is 72%. This is where statistics come in, and you have to say, is that significant? I don't know, it depends. You know, I don't know if it's significant. But if you look at these other countries, you know, South Korea, 92% are male. That seems a little odd. You go over here, Taiwan, most are female. 60% are female. So when you start doing this with your data, now it's talking to you. This kind of talks to you. This is screaming, I don't know, this is like raising little 2-year-olds, right? So when you look at data like this, it doesn't really say anything. When you start looking at data here, it's like, okay, now you're starting to talk to me. I can hear something.
Right.
You do this, and now it's even saying something a little more clear. And that's what this whole data analysis is all about. It's getting data into a format, into a representation that it means something. So this is what I would be looking at, and I would go, oh, okay, now we're talking. And you can kind of see what's going on. You ready to go? We got 3 minutes.
Okay, so I did equals.
Equals.
I clicked on the 92.
Divided by, which is that slash, and then the total. Which
and then the total.
That's going to give you a percentage.
That's what I was doing.
So
Okay.
now you can see how your decimal places are. What it just gives you all kinds of. Okay. Highlight the column. Click on F. Hold Shift and go over one. So now both columns are highlighted. Now right click. Now that you're in the column, right click. That's good. Yeah.
Sorry.
As long as we want to format the cells with a percentage, and we only want, let's get 1 decimal place. The other way. Okay. So now everything is going to be 1 decimal place. Now go back to your formula here. Let's lock down D. So put an anchor in front of D.
Do you want
Enter.
to do 2?
No. Okay. Highlight it. Copy and paste it over to the female. Control C, then go over, Control V. Okay, now we know the number's correct, so I won't have you do the auto sum, but just highlight both of them. Okay, now copy and paste and do it for all the rest of them. Just shift down or whatever you want to do. You gotta do your shift. So you hold down shift, put it down. Yeah.
All the way down to total?
No, that's fine, right there. Paste it. And now you can see. Now they're not asking you to do that. They're not asking you to put this other data.
But that's an A, no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Should be. So
Emma's gonna kill it,
Does
so
this-
it's coming in.
You
okay.
guys almost done?
yeah,
It looks like everybody's packing up, so.
Okay.
we're definitely packing up now.
now.
Thank you.
So would you say this answer is B?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but see, it's asking here. It's asking you a question now because
Now that's
this is the first part. We made the crosstabs,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's asking. Oh, it's also asking for a column chart, which we didn't do.
So we just copy all of this and then go to insert.
I wouldn't even say you have to go. Yeah. You can just highlight it. I mean, I guess you don't. I wouldn't do totals really. Insert, chart, column chart. Boom, you got a chart.
Do you see how you did it?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, so once you highlight your data, it'll automatically know where it wants to go. And from here, okay, I don't know what I just did. From here, you can change the title. Like this down here doesn't really tell you anything. I don't know what these numbers are. So you have to kind of go in and customize it so it shows something.
Okay.
And then it's asking, does there seem to be any relationship between gender and the recoded nationality, which is really the other, because that's all that changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are not really recoded, but maybe this compared to the rest. Is the pattern about the same in the 2 years? Okay, then you got to do it for both years. We didn't do it for the other year.
Okay, I can watch the video.
Okay?
Yeah, that's.
One problem. Now we know why we sat there all day Sunday doing. Yeah, it was a good 6 hours probably.
The professor says that there's people that will take up to 40 hours a week to do this. The homework.
Well,
Did you shut down?
No.
thank you so much for
You're
inviting
welcome.
me to the study, guys.
Oh, not a problem.
I needed it.
Okay. Any other questions that I can answer while we're still,